Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back in the Kansas, but we are going to showcase a little something that I like to call creating crossfires and how to do it. Alright? So first of all, we spawn middle of the map on Haven. Haven is notorious because of the way people spawn in and have to actually move. So spawning in the middle of the map is actually kind of like the perfect spawn. It allows you to potentially attack both sides of the map without having to move a whole lot. Now, what you're going to see is a perfect illustration of what you need to do. And the reason we're in the Kansas and we're showcasing how to create a crossfire is because if I can create a crossfire in a Kansas, then you can create a crossfire in any goddamn ship in the game. Let's be real. This is one of the slowest ships in the game. So if it can work itself into a crossfire, you can too. There's no excuse for it. So what we're going to do is try to identify what the enemy is doing and how we can take the most advantage of it. Now, we get spotted right off the bat. It is a triple destroyer game. That is not unusual. But we do see some shells coming out from long range over there on the left side, and we know we have a destroyer in position, so he's about to spot. And sure enough, we have an Azure Lane, New Jersey, full broadside at maximum range. So we go ahead and take that shot. And I don't think we need to talk about just how nasty that accuracy is. Almost all horizontal, and bonk. There goes all his health. 18,000 damage in the opening salvo. But notice where I'm at. Am I trying to take a flank here? Normally I try to take flanks, but in this particular instance, we have a whole lot of enemies out off of our left side that are all like sailing broadside or at least over-angled. So we want to take advantage of that. And this New Jersey didn't learn his lesson. He's still sailing broadside to me. You know, clearly, dude has not, like, heard of me, I guess. But he's about to, as we blapped him for 18,000 the first time, and there goes a Citadel, and only 3 pins that time, but another 18,000 damage. So in 2 salvos, we're up to 37,000 damage. So, one lesson, how to create a crossfire. Sometimes you spawn there, right? Pay attention to what the enemy is doing and see what you can do to take advantage of it. Put yourself in an ideal position to protect yourself while also, oh my god, you gotta be joking. Now here is a perfect example of a cruiser player that recognizes that I was playing for him to reverse. And he gets very, very lucky to get moving at the last possible second. He was about to reverse, but he changed his mind just in time and Propulsion Mod saved his booty. But that's okay because his intelligence ends there. He goes from that to realizing that there's a battleship very close to him and having to turn away. And unfortunately for him, he panics and runs straight into the island. Now, does anybody understand what it is to dial up Roto-Rooter? Because I just dialed up Roto-Rooter for this Wichita, and he's about to have a real bad time. Bonk! Right up the old prop shaft, and down he goes. Yeah, you definitely don't want to beat yourself in front of 2 battleships ready to murder you. But notice what's going on now. We've got an Amalfi pushing out. He's flat broadside to us, so we're going to go ahead and try to slap him. Now, Amalfi is pretty fast, and he does get his smoke off. Now, I'm paying attention to the minimap. We're weak on the right side. We have 3 ships there, but they're not really doing a whole lot. There is a battleship there, so I kind of want to put myself over there to see if I can't help with the battleship. Now, when I commit to this turn, I should have probably paid attention to the fact that the battleship was... Or I should have looked at the battleship first. Georgia, unfortunately, is too far away. The New Jersey is too far away. Ismo ends up being very low health, so I didn't actually need to come over here. But that's okay. We recognize this, and we will play accordingly. Enemy in the Sumner is parked next to an island trying to torpedo a battleship. Doesn't realize that there's a destroyer about to come around the corner and, you know, show him why sitting still in a destroyer is a bad idea. He goes dark, probably because he smokes up. You know, doesn't like being spotted, just took some damage from the battleship. Our Hayate comes around the corner, dumps a load of torpedoes straight into that smoke screen, and I don't think we need to figure out, or I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure out how that ends up for him. Now, here is just an unfortunate circumstance. I was not spotted by this Kurosami. This Kurosami launched these torpedoes at the Sejong behind me. Look how long these torpedoes are spotted for. Alright? Pay attention to that. Sejong, pretty agile, small little cruiser. I take one because I'm a Kansas and I can't really get out of the way. There's not a whole lot of room for me up against this island. But the guy behind me gets dev struck in a cruiser that easily should have dodged those torpedoes. Those torps were spotted from so far away, it's actually stupid that he ended up eating a torpedo at all. But, you know, potatoes are going to potate. That's what they do. Tater's going to tate, right? So, instead of sitting over here and trying to get... We clearly are not going to get the spotting we need from the destroyer, right? I am anticipating... Watch when we get spotted here. There are two options for this destroyer that was in the smoke screen, the Kurosami. There's the go into the middle of the map, or circle back around and try to launch at the big, fat, slow, heavy battleships. And I anticipate, as you can see me looking, I anticipate that he actually circled back around. It's what I would do in a destroyer in this situation. Instead of going to the middle of the map, I would circle back and try to take advantage of the big, dumb battleships that are sitting in a clump. Right? Makes sense. When you think about the game logically, you can start to see, like, and guess what the enemy is likely to do. And so... in this instance, we make the right call. We move to the left to go inside and create the crossfire that we love to talk about. Right off the bat, we hit the Amalfi, and we also have a rune out here as well. And Rune has no idea that I even exist. Despite being spotted, this man has no clue that I exist. And so what happens next, honestly, I wish I had waited until I got all of the guns to bear, because this guy would have just been outright removed right here. But we fire the front guns at the Rune. I'm like, okay, he's probably not going to see that. That's going to be devastating. And sure enough, it was. We end up hitting him for over 14,000 damage with a Citadel in there. Then we fire the rear turrets at the Amalfi, and don't quite lead the Amalfi enough, unfortunately. We do hit him for about 6,700, but it's not quite as much as I would like to have hit him for. But look at our positioning now. We are now circling back. Our teammates have the enemy moving around in a situation where we prefer, right? Like, they're all rotating one way, and now we are counter-rotating and catching these guys broadside. Amalfi, what happens here is only described as the biggest injustice I have ever seen in my life. This man should be dead. All of those hit center of mass. That should be killed. He got extremely lucky. Now, once again, the Kurosami actually ends up doubling back. He wants my giblets. He fires all of his torpedoes, and we do a pretty good job of dodging, but again, he ends up landing right on our torpedo belt. Thankfully, the Kansas is very thick. Well, we do end up having to use our damage con there to get rid of the flooding. And then, obviously, we have a Georgia out here who is begging for it. But I know I'm about to beach, so I don't fire. I hold my fire as I come off of the island and start moving. I want to wait until I get a good look to potentially hit this Georgia. You see those torpedoes coming? That's gonna force that Georgia to turn, right? It always does. So when you see the Georgia in a situation where he's going to end up turning, you can see I'm looking at the Amalfi. I'm thinking about killing the Amalfi, and then I'm like, okay, well, we can kill the Amalfi at pretty much any point. Rune is coming around the other corner. Again, he's flat broadside. He starts making the turn out, and I've got to say, again, this is another great injustice of how this game just screws over battleship captains. There is no reason that Rune survives that. 12.5 kilometers away is more than enough for me to hit the Citadel of that thing with a little bit of plunging fire through the turtleback, right? And then on top of that, we get 9 overpins. Really? 9 overpins. I send 12 rounds downrange, I get 9 overpins. Not a single full pin. That's ridiculous. But Georgia, not to be outdone by all of his cruisers sailing broadside, is now like, yes, I will turn broadside to you as well, because I must get my guns on target. And, yeah, he takes a huge hit too. Shocker. I know. It's crazy. It's almost like if you sail around broadside, you're gonna get blapped. I know. It's a crazy concept, but it is something that does exist. Now, Kurosami is over there. You got 2 destroyers versus 1. In my mind, they have that, right? I shouldn't have to worry about that. This Georgia, once again, has a torpedo come in contact with him. He survives, and we're going to go ahead and use auto-aim over the island, raise up the shot a little bit so that we guarantee shots into the superstructure, and we manage to take him down. And now we are left with just the Amalfi. Recognizing what the enemy is doing, and then putting yourself in position to take advantage of what they are doing is how you create a crossfire. splitting up from your team so that your team can distract them, or you can distract them and your team get the crossfire. I've always said crossfires are a two-way street. It's actually a three-way street, because technically if you're creating a crossfire, there's a good chance that you're also in a crossfire if the enemy team is playing well. But in this instance, it was the perfect play for this map. Doubling back, getting to a position where we could take advantage of all the broadside ships, recognizing that the enemy is going to be overconfident, that they've won their side, and they're pushing forward. Everybody wants to go forward, right? So once we know what they're doing, now here I'm testing the waters. I'm like, okay, he's not out to the left. That tells me he's behind the rock right in front of me, right? We know where the Amalfi is. Now watch in a moment as I get detected without firing my guns. Okay, watch this. There we go. Now we're detected. So we know that Amalfi is within 12.8 kilometers. We also know that he's probably headed back to the base, right? So all of these little keys are what we pick up on in order to set an intercept course on a very fast cruiser with the slowest battleship at the tier, right? Or one of the slowest battleships at the tier. I don't know if Atlantico is slower than Kansas, but it's close. But this is how you test the waters. You figure it out. Now notice I went dark and I'm about to get spotted again, right? So we know he's currently behind the little island in front of us, and now he's right out in front of us, and look at where my guns are pointed when this guy finally gets spotted. We're already in the perfect spot to shoot. Like, we didn't even have to, like, worry about that. Like, that is the difference between somebody recognizing as an experienced player what is going on, despite not having the intelligence from teammates. You can't rely on teammates all the time, as we all know. But perfect positioning in this match. You can't really ask for better gameplay. Kansas, 177,000, absolutely dominated the match. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And if you have any questions that you guys would like to know about creating crossfires, or like how you recognize those sorts of situations better, please leave them down in the comments below. And if there are enough like people interested in it, I will make a specific video where I go over like step by step what I'm thinking in the moment. I try to give you guys the best like advice I can. I know I'm not the greatest player on the planet, but I do understand the basics of the game, and I understand it to a level that is better than average, right? So I can help you guys that are struggling to figure out like the basics of the mechanics of the game, as well as the like little nuances, like how we managed to intercept one of the faster cruisers in the game with one of the slowest battleships, just based on paying attention, understanding what the enemy is trying to do and what they're where they're likely at, and using keys to the game like your concealment, knowing where the enemy was last located, firing your guns, realizing you didn't get spotted, so he's not there, he's behind an island, you know, that sort of thing. So if you guys are interested in this sort of stuff, let me know. I will try to do my best to make something for you guys. But with that, I appreciate you guys hanging out, and if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.